The Earth is like a fox on the run. The entire planet Earth has become like a terrified fox, fleeing for its life from vicious, savage, dangerous maniacs, pursuing it hell-bent on its destruction and death. Alarm bells are ringing all over the world. The rape of the Earth, a tortured planet, abused, tormented and dying, is a global meltdown, an ecological crisis of cataclysmic proportions.
The global environment is being systematically destroyed. The aliens have seized control of governments, big businesses, armies, police forces, car manufacturers and oil companies in every country on the earth. The arseholes from Uranus have disguised themselves as police officers, soldiers, politicians, business people and public servants. The aliens are polluting the Earth's atmosphere with toxic waste and poisonous fumes and are distributing dangerous drugs to young people. They are attempting to destroy the human race, kill all the animals and flood the world with motor vehicles and consumer products. Full-scale alien invasion is imminent. The aliens will attack when they have replaced all the Earth's oxygen with the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide they need to breathe. The environmental destruction is now out of control. Atmospheric pollution has destroyed the ozone layer, and the hole in it is now larger than Europe, and it gets bigger every day. Global warming is melting the polar ice caps, causing the sea levels to rise alarmingly. The Antarctic ice is cracking up, and 400,000 square miles have vanished in the last few years. All the food and water has become poisonous to all forms of life, and is killing off everything, including the entire human race. The rainforests and the wildlife are vanishing. Hunger, poverty and unemployment are increasing. There is worldwide economic depression caused by huge frauds by the banks. There are millions of child slaves in the third world. Famines and wars are killing hundreds of millions. There is a global epidemic of dangerous drugs and other atrocities and abominations. There is violence and horror in the films and television. Civilization is collapsing. Greed, crime, corruption and hypocrisy have replaced decency and integrity. To deliberately cause the earth to rot and fester and sink into the depths of depravity is the real criminal injustice of our times. Our filthy planet is a disgusting hellhole, a sea of squalor and despair, a pitiless polluted wasteland, the rubbish dump of the universe. The alien criminals dealing in death and destruction, corrupt politicians and crooked bankers are the human hunters who terrorize and kill and have the earth on the run, screaming for its life.
Beware of the aliens. They are everywhere, destroying the planet, killing the innocent, and causing general disaster.
This is a message from the future to the people of the world, warning that humanity faces extinction this century as a result of global warming and climate change. Can You Save the Human Race is a master plan for the survival of humanity and an appeal for justice for the children. Act 1 is all about the panic on planet Earth and the inconvenient truth that our world is in danger, which Al Gore has warned us about. Global warming is out of control, threatening humanity with extinction. Burning fossil fuels is causing a chain reaction of environmental disasters. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere keeps rising all the time, and the Earth's temperatures are increasing alarmingly. The glaciers and the polar ice caps are melting, and the Antarctic ice shelves are breaking up and collapsing. Sea levels are rising, threatening hundreds of millions of people with becoming environmental refugees. Hurricanes are increasing in ferocity and intensity, contributing to the worldwide flooding, which will kill billions of people by the middle of the century, according to United Nations scientists. In his film An Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore said Our ability to live is what is at stake. There is a state of emergency on the earth as the global crisis threatens an apocalyptic ecological cataclysm. The human race faces extinction, Professor Peter Barrett warned in November 2004. After 40 years, I'm part of a huge community of scientists who have become alarmed with our discovery that we know from our knowledge of the ancient past that if we continue our present growth path, we are facing extinction, not in millions of years or even millennia, but by the end of this century. Could this be the end of life on Earth? The Bilderberg climate criminals of banks, corporations and governments are committing crimes against humanity, but the environmental movement is fighting back in self-defense.
We're all here to stop expansion at Heathrow. And as you have gathered in the title of today's conference, we're going to be following what if the worst comes to the worst and the government gives the go-ahead for expansion at Heathrow? What sort of things should we be doing? We will also be looking a little bit at the time between now and when the government's expected to make this decision, which is November. Just to see what sort of things we collectively and individually as groups should be doing during that period of time. There'll be a range of things from making arguments, taking actions, but I don't want to come up with ideas right now. In fact, what we want is to hold all of us during the course of the day to come up with the ideas. The first session will be for an hour or so. There'll be some presentations and discussion from here on the platform, but most of the day is an opportunity for all of us to talk together, to come up with our ideas, to discuss them, debate them with other people, and then towards the end of the day we'll come together and see what possibly a draft plan of action, what possibly calendar of events we can come up with for the next few months and for the months after the government makes its decision.
Well, welcome to the constituency, but most of you are here who live in the constituency as well, because I'd like to welcome all those others who don't live within the area and just say thanks for your solidarity. The conference today is organised by the Climate Camp, by HACAN and by NoTrack, our local campaigning bodies, and it's last year we had a meeting in which we welcomed the Climate Camp to the constituency, and there was at that time, to be frank, there was some trepidation amongst the local community about what the Climate Camp would bring to the campaign, what would happen within the area. And we went through an extensive meeting like this and discussed the role of the Climate Camp, the role that HACAN is playing and NoTrack and all the other campaigns. The Climate Camp took place, and I think it was one of the most successful events in our campaign against Heathrow expansion. That's taken place, well, certainly since I've been involved, which is over 35 years now, and Brian Sobey and I are part of the archaeology of this campaign that's gone on over the years. And it took the issue from being relatively low level in terms of publicity into not just getting national publicity but international publicity for a long period of time. And it took our campaign to another plateau. So I welcome everybody to today's conference, and I welcome those people who joined us from outside the community of the Climate Campaign representatives and others. Just briefly, because I'll come back later and I'll participate in the workshops, but if I can just say this, if you think where we were at 2 years ago, we were very much a localised campaign in terms of local Hayes and Harlington constituency, parts of Hillingdon, working with HACAN across London. And where we've come to now is a campaign that's national, international, that's almost unstoppable. And it's been a remarkable transformation. And some while ago, when we were having meetings like this within the local community, there was real scepticism about whether or not we could win. There was a real lack of confidence. There was a grim determination, but not necessarily confidence that we can actually win this. I think by joining with people across the country, as I say, internationally, there's a real feeling now, but not only can we win, we are winning. We're winning in every aspect of this campaign. And if you think back, literally less than 2 years ago, it was very difficult to get any coverage in any of the media about this particular issue. Now, literally we're getting page after page after page, coverage, panorama programmes, whole page in the Guardian last week. Literally it's on the lips of many, many commentators and journalists. And if you think about it, 18 months, 2 years ago, there wasn't a single major national commentator, apart from George Monbiot, writing in our national newspapers, highlighting the issue of Heathrow and in opposition to it. Now it's very rare that you can find anyone standing up for Heathrow expansion in any of the major commentators or opinion forms. And if you look in terms of decision makers now, well, I think what we've done, apart from convince individual political parties about the need for opposing the expansion of Heathrow, I think we've driven dissent even in those areas where there was unanimous support for expansion of Heathrow. So I think we've come on tremendously well. The issue now is, can we turn that momentum into absolute victory on this issue? And I genuinely think we can. The decision-making timetable, as you know, has been put off 6 months, and that isn't because they haven't made their mind up or anything like that, or they don't want to drive it through. Of course they do in certain parts of government, but they've put it off because they knew if they came out with a decision, they would be defeated immediately, either by legal action, or by campaigning, or by just absolute opposition throughout the community. And so what they're doing now, those who want to press ahead with this expansion, they've delayed it in the hope of trying to find some way through this opposition, that they can get a decision in favour of expansion. And I don't think they can. So this next 12 months is absolutely critical. So the reason for this conference is to talk about how effectively can we campaign to turn what has been a brilliant campaign in pushing them back into one that defeats them completely. And the idea today is to bring in all the creativity that we can about the different forms of action. And it is a whole range of different things, about expert advice, legal action, campaign, direct action as well. And things are breaking out all over the place. And I'll shut up at this point. In Parliament week before last, I left Parliament, and we were involved in an important debate. I spoke at that. We've been raising questions about Heathrow. We'd had a pop at the Prime Minister and all the rest of it. And then I went along to another meeting in the Business Enterprise Department. And as I walk along to the department, there's a group of people up on the roof with a banner. And they were on the roof with the Public Relations Agency promoting expansion of Heathrow. And a group of young people, just with a banner, spontaneously got up there to highlight the effect on climate change of the expansion of Heathrow. And I spoke to Leo on the phone, and I said, oh, some of your lot are on the roof. He says, it's got nothing to do with that. So it's just breaking out everywhere. Wherever you go, there's someone campaigning against it. And I think that means we've built up such momentum now, we're on the cusp of victory. So today is serious business about how do we then consolidate that into a final decision. Even if the government comes out in 6 months and says, yes, it's going ahead, how do we then over the next 12 to 18 months then defeat it whenever those proposals come forward? So I think this is a key conference to get our act together, get our ideas together, but on the basis of the massive success that we've had over the period. And the only people that you can thank for that success is yourselves for the commitment that you've given. So thank you for what you've done, and welcome to the conference today.
Thanks very much. I've just got a few minutes, so what I'm going to try and do is kind of encapsulate about 150 years of scientific discoveries and knowledge over the next 5 minutes. And you're going to have to bear with me. So if you imagine the Earth, and it's going around the sun, and if we think of the Earth as a simplistic system, so we just have three components. We have the oceans, we have the land, and we have the atmosphere. And we know that all these components interact with each other. So we know that where the temperature is warm, and it's wet like in the tropics, we have a tropical rainforest. Here, where it's much cooler, we have woodlands. And we can see that the rainfall, the atmosphere affects the land, and the land affects the atmosphere, and the same goes for the oceans. So we can see over the whole course of Earth's history that small changes in the Earth's orbit affect the amount of energy getting to Earth, which affects the vegetation and the atmosphere, and these things interact. So the climate as a system is always changing, but it's changing at a very slow pace. That's what's happened since past the Big Bang and the Earth formed over the last 2.8 billion years. If we think about the atmosphere and what we know about that, it's essentially a bit like a blanket around the Earth. And some of the radiation that's coming in from the sun gets trapped. And one of those gases that traps that radiation is quite important, is carbon dioxide. And that CO2, that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that keeps the planet, and has done over Earth's history, much warmer than it would be otherwise. So currently, the amount of carbon dioxide is keeping it about 30 degrees warmer than it would be without any carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So knowing this, we can think about what's happening now. And what we see now is extremely rapid climate change. The rate of climate change is much faster than it's been in most times in the past in geological history. And the reason for that is that humans are burning fossil fuels, which is releasing carbon dioxide, which is enhancing that greenhouse effect. Now, to get an idea on kind of the scale of this, fossil fuels were laid down over a period of about 300 million years in the past. And if, at current rates, we'll exhaust, or if we burn those fossil fuels, we'll exhaust all of those fossil fuels in about 300 years. All the oil, all the gas, and all the coal. It'd be a bad idea, but if we did it, as we currently are using fossil fuels at that rate, then that's about pumping into the atmosphere about 1 million years worth of past fossil fuels into the atmosphere every single year. So it's not surprising that this is affecting both the composition of the atmosphere and that that's having knock-on effects in terms of the vegetation. So it's changing the temperatures and it's changing rainfall patterns and it's changing what's going on in the oceans. Now, if we know that this is what scientists have been discovering over the last 150 years, we want to know what's going to happen in the future. And making predictions about the future is much more difficult because we need to look at these things on much shorter timescales, the kind of timescales that me and you and children and grandchildren are interested in. And the current statement of science is that if we continue with business as usual, we have a global average temperature increase of about 3 or 4 degrees warmer than it is now across the planet. Now that doesn't sound too bad because, of course, we know the difference between the temperature in the summer and the winter is more than 4 degrees different. But we're talking about global averages here, and that these have significant impacts over really important processes that we all depend on for our daily lives. If these temperature increases happen, we can confidently predict that glaciers will melt and they're big storage places for water that provide water in the dry seasons across much of the tropics, so billions of people will not have access to fresh water. We can confidently predict that droughts will occur across the tropics, and that will decrease food yields, they will decrease crop yields, and that will increase food prices. And we've already seen this past year that there have been food riots in almost 40 countries across the world. Those kind of problems will get much worse. We can predict that at least 1 million species will go extinct. The physical geography of the world will look almost completely different from what it does now. We would have to redraw the maps of the world. So what do we need to do to avoid these kind of impacts that scientists are telling us are going to happen if we don't change our ways? So what we need to do is reduce the amount of carbon dioxide we put into the atmosphere, and to stay below an increase in mean global temperatures of about 2 degrees C, which will avoid most of those catastrophic impacts. For places like the UK, we need to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions by around 90%. And that leaves some leeway for developing countries to be able to increase their emissions in the short term so that they can have the kinds of standards of life that we enjoy here. To reduce carbon dioxide emissions by about 90% over the time frame required is reducing emissions by about 5% every year. So I'm here to lend my support and be involved in the campaign about Heathrow, because if they build that, if they expand that airport, that will lock us into a high emissions scenario over the next 40 or 50 years. They're not going to not fill that airport with planes if they build a runway. In my view, we need to avoid building Heathrow because we have to contract those emissions by 5% every year. Thank you very much.
That was great stuff. Climate change farmers, that was really good stuff. Okay. We've got, just before Christine comes up from No Track, we've got I'm going to ask Susan Kramer to come and say a few words. Susan's joined us, as many of you know, she's the Lib Dem MP for Richmond Park, and the vast majority of the constituents, Susan, live right on the flight park up there. On you come.
Number of my constituents here today, which is absolutely brilliant, because I'm going to have to leave. I think I could take Jenny with me for the opening of the new wing of our local hospital, so I will leave after lunch, but we're going to rely on those other people to keep pushing that Richmond point of view. And one of the great things I think about this campaign is how it crosses all boundaries in terms of communities, all boundaries in terms of parties. There's one group not represented on this platform that I thought I should mention, and that is the 2M group. 21 councils that have come together, councils under the flight path, but that's working with Stansted, Gatwick, and they have been an incredibly powerful force in this whole campaign. So I know that John and the others will make sure they're called into this. But as you know, very recently they lost, but they took a case against expanding night flights to through the court system, through the Court of Human Rights, and they've recently been to Brussels. Hello, I know we're on very tight for time here, so I'll try and be fairly brief. Yeah, I thought it was so it surprised me. I'll make one point straight away, and that's because I always kind of wear this t-shirt, which says no third runway at Heathrow. Actually, John, I think, arranged that was printed about 7 years ago, and I've gently washed them as the campaign's gone, because it actually says at Heathrow. But No Track changed its constitution a couple of years ago to cover all expansion. We're not just no third runway, because we appreciate that the issue of Heathrow expansion affects everyone. It affects us as well. We realised very early on that they're going to use that to divide us. So even if the government comes out and says, okay, well we won't have a third runway, but we're going to increase flights, that doesn't mean the end of our flight, we're going to carry on. So I just wanted to make that absolutely clear. It's a simple message, but it's not just the only message we have. And on that point of view, from No Track's point of view, I'd also like to say that Sipson's got an awful lot of coverage for the devastation that will happen to that village, but Susan Kramer made the point that many other places will be suffering, many other local places, and that's why I'm here really to talk about the local perspective on this, is that this village here, which is a village I live in, I was brought up in Sipson, but I now live in Harlington. We're threatened with the road networks primarily, not just obviously we'll get the aircraft noise and pollution like everybody else, but we do face devastation on quite a massive scale, as does Harlingsworth. Half that village would probably be totally unlivable as a result of a third runway. The expansion itself and an increase in flights will make life unbearable for many of the villages around here and beyond into Hayes and West Lowland and all those other villages. Climate Camp, when it came, as has already been said, has boosted our campaign. No Trade's now invited to all sorts of meetings. Only recently I was at City Hall because the Mayor had organised a meeting of environmental groups to discuss a whole lot of issues, including Heathrow expansion. So we're getting our voice across, and globally. I had a phone call the other day ringing me up to tell me, did I know Panorama was on? And that was from Spain. They were watching it out there. They spotted the runway. And I said, yeah, actually I did, and can you get off the phone? but that's the situation we're in now. From a little group, and I know we've got Natasha from the Cemeteries group who's fighting for the cemetery as well. We start small, but actually we've got to be very grateful for people like the Climate Camp and for playing stupid, getting onto Parliament and really bringing our cause out into the public eye, because we're battling against mighty forces who've got money to be made, and when money's to be made, people really don't care about the little people. So on that point, I'll just say I learned a long time ago that the government doesn't care about us. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. I sat in meetings and people said, you must tell them it's 700 homes, it's 2,000 people, it's blah 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 blah. Really, we're wasting our time with that. Well, we started telling them 100,000 children under flight paths would have their education destroyed. Now, Ruth Kelly used to be in education, but it didn't bother her much, because she's sending her children to private education, so that's okay. Don't need to worry about Richmond and all those children in Hounslow that can't hear their lessons. You can add zeros onto those numbers of people affected globally. It doesn't make any difference to this government. So if you look at the people who are around here, it's the people who fear they'll be forgotten. A lot of the people here have had their daily lives affected. What do you do? How do you plan for the future when you've got a threat over your head? And I'd just like to say that's one of the reasons why No Trade keeps going, because we know some of the personal stories. And so I'll finish there, only to mention a lady in the audience who, while we were making a noise a few weeks back, was actually lying flat on her back and had broken her back. She was in an ambulance, and I thought, it's not like Eilish. She was at Climate Camp, she went to police meetings to make sure that in future we have the police on our side, because they should know that we're fighting. And she's turned up today, first time I've seen her in weeks, with Armel, another one of our campaigners. This whole issue, who during their campaigns I know have had their own personal sadnesses, bereavements, all sorts of issues, and they've just got up and carried on, because this is an issue we're not going to give up on. And I thank you very much for coming today. Thank you.
We have a date for that now, which is November, and we're pleading not guilty. Just so you know, obviously we're not saying we weren't on the roof, that would be crazy. But what we're saying is that we had an awful excuse to be there. So in the same way that if someone attacks you and you fight back, then that's self-defence, you haven't assaulted them. We're arguing that we were there to prevent a greater crime from taking place. And it's not simply a nebulous argument about the moral imperative of climate change. It's a very specific argument that we're making, that there was a crime taking place in the Department for Transport, namely misconduct in public office, which we can prove. We can't probably prove that we needed to get on the roof of the House of Parliament to stop it, but we're going to have a spirited go at trying. So that, that's where I come from. But also, I remember very well our first public meeting in Sipson last year before the Climate Camp, when, as John said, there was a lot of trepidation, and I think on both sides as well. We were concerned that it was important that we were welcomed by the community, and not just kind of arriving and pitching up on the doorsteps without some kind of dialogue going on. And we had high hopes at that point for building a coalition and creating a movement of solidarity between people who may have, we may have different reasons for being involved in this campaign, but we were keen to forge that. And I think that what we have now is something which is so strong because of its diversity. Because government has strategies for dealing with grassroots local campaign groups, and they have strategies for dealing with local democracy, and they have strategies for dealing with direct action activists. But what I think that they don't have is an effective strategy for dealing with a coalition that is made up by people from non-political groups. So solidarity is
I agree with that. Anna, if Leah was on the roof of the House of Commons, you jump on a plane to Heathrow.
So a couple of days before those guys got on Parliament, 5 of us got on top of the British Airways jet at Heathrow Airport. And that was part of Greenpeace's campaign, which started in about April 2007. We're also coming from very much from a climate change perspective, and that's our key message. But we again have recognised that actually our strength comes from working together, from using everyone's messages, bringing them all together. That it's about no noise, it's about no pollution, it's about no community destruction, and no climate change. And that none of us are doing this on our own. It's all joining together and putting all those arguments together and maintaining that force that I think is actually really starting to frighten them. And we heard yesterday that the Evening Standard had a comment piece yesterday looking at Gordon's struggle to maintain power and maintain base, and they listed a number of events that are coming up that are going to test his power, and one of them is the Heathrow decision. And in fact, they said yesterday that if he doesn't block the proposals, then he's going to lose space completely. And that's pretty significant, I think, for a paper like that to be saying that kind of thing. So I really think that we have quite some chance.
The exchange is available, thanks to you well. It's a good business.
Now listen, we are conscious of that, but we're very important.
I'm not on the phone. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Eternal is eternal in my view, and you're not by yourself. Only people to guide you along.
Maybe if we were to focus on a specific day of action, and we were to split into
so many brilliant ideas, sort of the runway. I just can't believe the runway's going to happen if even a few of them get taken forward. So what I want to do now is try and summarise a little bit and try and work out how we're going to take it forward a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is invite the facilitators from each group to talk about their top ideas, maybe the top 3, or ones where people have said that they were definitely going to do something and they'd definitely like to be a contact point. So I'll start. So I was facilitating group down here, group 3, and our top 3 ideas just from that group were, the first one was this idea of a direct action pledge, and we talked a lot about the idea of pledging to occupy this area if they come to demolish it. Pledging that in thousands, not just the homes, but the schools and the community centres and everything that makes up community, and not just the people that live here, but people from outside, the thousands of people that have heard about this campaign and want to show solidarity with it and want to come and help defend it using direct action. And we talked about doing that and making that credible, because it would be a long time before bulldozers might actually arrive. And to make that credible, we talked about having training sessions so that people not only just signed up for it and then it was on a website or an email or somewhere, but that they came to a training session and actually learned their skills so that the threat of it might put them off, and it is also a very credible threat. We didn't get as far as the saying when, but everyone was quite sure that it should happen very soon. We should start that straight away. Let's say September. What I think we're saying is we're going to have a post-conference report, and we can send out all the information that came out today and try and write it up in some kind of coherent fashion, and any dates, contacts, that sort of thing, we can send out in that. But to start things off, I said that I would be a contact for anyone that was interested in working on the pledge. I was getting it going, yeah, so info@planstupid.com is a useful contact to get things rolling. The second thing that we talked about, and this involves John, but I'm actually asking you, is we talked about a very detailed and targeted grading and canvassing of key MPs. So working out which MPs are in what area and how important they are for different things. How much support, have they given nominal support to this campaign? Have they done that but not actually done anything? What could we ask them to do? Well, there's very specific details in a very professional way, focusing on key MPs. This idea of harnessing the sort of celebrity culture and getting celebrities on board with this campaign, because even though it's recognised, it's a shame that there is such a cult of celebrity. Well, maybe we can use it for this campaign. And one very positive way of doing that would be to have a festive event, a festival or a concert or a creative day in this community here with high profile and local and very famous celebrity type people showing their support, and local people showing how the cultural side of things and what culture is going to be destroyed. And we didn't have anyone that was happy to be a contact for that, but if anyone is, let us know and we'll put you on the post-conference report.
Basically, we're very excited about specific times in the calendar that we thought were important to highlight the issue. We talked about before the announcement, which is likely to happen in October, November, we would like to have another spectacular. And we spent some time discussing what a spectacular might be. We talked about the previous flash mobs and how they've been successful at engaging people, they've been maybe less successful at engaging the national press, and whether there is a way that we can build on that. A specific time that we were looking at was around the party conferences, and representing those voices. We talked about whether that was a bit far away to think about school children, and that got us on to another hook or key point, which we thought could be the opening of Parliament. So to make this an issue, as soon as Parliament's back, the first thing they remember is that there's this third runway thing to deal with, and they're going to have to acknowledge people against this. And we talked about possibly doing a stunt or a flash mob in Parliament Square. The whole, defend Simpson type action, so people to start saying in a coordinated way, we're not moving, so you can get over that.
Their travel branch has just decided that they're going to not support runway expansion, which is just after the Association of British Travel Agents on the whole kind of issue of aviation, because they used to be solidly pro. We came up with what do we do if this Mo's decision goes ahead rather than the third runway. And the theme was that at that point we really ought to be holding the big demo in Richmond rather than in Simpson, and kind of really getting some of that sort of influential support that isn't here, but actually might be much more influential to help support the campaign by just choosing our location for where we respond to the mixed mode thing. Okay?
I'm going to try and keep it really quick, because actually what's been said is what we covered as well. In particular, the party conference. I don't know if it was covered, but trying to get supportive MPs to turn up and unveil their red t-shirts alongside those who'd be standing outside perhaps, maybe holding their radios with some irritating noises on them. Noise was a really key thing that we wanted to, within our group, that we wanted to sort of use as a tactic to sort of irritate anyone who might possibly be involved with aviation, whether it be different members of departments or different CEOs in the aviation industry or travel agents perhaps turning up outside with cars with loudspeakers and so on. So yeah, that was a real theme as well, to sort of get the AUT involved and also different health bodies. But with children, yeah, to get the schools on board and to petition, maybe turn up with petitions at the march or maybe at the party conferences. But yeah, so it's basically, we really wanted to try and engage as much as possible with people who weren't already active.
Our group started out solely the discussion about the pledge, and we were very much in support of that. We developed that not just people who have pledged to take direct action, but all different types of pledge for different levels of direct action. People in Simpson who had pledged not to move from their houses. People who had pledged to welcome in what we dubbed a climate refugee. That's someone who's prepared to dig in at Simpson if the worst comes to the worst. And that led into a wider discussion, similar to Roger's group, about planning for the longer term and building up the contacts between residents and direct activists. So we talked about direct action training over the summer to take place in this area in particular, in Simpson. A couple of separate ideas that we had. We talked about doing more subvertising, and we came up with the idea of a campaign which we tentatively called Stick It to BAA, where people would say, we're going to print off some stickers that you could just plonk over some BAA advertising. There was a retired lady in our group who volunteered to go down to the airport and do it, all over the pro airports, propaganda that's around there. T-shirts were mentioned as well, getting more Stop Airport Expansion T-shirts printed up so that people are wearing them all around, and London really can see that there's a lot of people who are opposed to this runway. That's us.
Okay, so group 9, we talked briefly about unions, which I think was mentioned earlier. So speak to Robin about workers' climate action and engaging with with particular local struggles around there's T5 workers balancing at the moment. We're not quite sure what's on, but it might be a good opportunity to speak to them. We also talked about this idea of forgetting the Department for Transport, who are completely intractable, and focusing lobbying on other departments of government who this is going to matter for, it's going to make a difference to. So the Department for Education, getting to them, probably through the schools, which will be affected, and the Department for Health, particularly this idea that the Chief Medical Officer is employed by the government to take a view on the health impacts, the public health impacts of various things to do with government policy, and it will be very interesting to target the Chief Medical Officer and try to get them to express an opinion, because it's not going to be in favour of airport expansion. So that was another idea. Or contacting a group like the Asthma Association and asking the Asthma Association to invite the Chief Medical Officer on behind they got to go ahead, and we know residents committing to stay in their homes, but there were questions about how to make that real, how to make that seem real. So the training was one thing that was talked about from other groups, but to publicise it as well. So have more public meetings to discuss how that will move forwards, but also to set up photo shoots and stuff and make sure that the media are aware that this is happening, that you've got this coalition of residents and direct action activists committing to do this. But the question was raised about mixed mode, because obviously the third runway, it's very simple. They need to actually evict people from their homes and their place of work in order to make way for it. So it's very simple. Well, we say, well, we're not going to leave these places, right? But how do you take direct action if we get a mixed mode announcement? So we talked about that a little bit, and we talked about the big value of this being in the threat or the promise, the commitment to take a direct action and hopefully not ever having to do it. So in the case of mixed mode, well, the last resort, I mean, what can you threaten? And it was put forward that actually, the ultimate threat is, well, we'll close the airport for however long. We'll close the airport to reverse decisions. So actually, it was pointed out it's not that difficult to do that, actually, which is why they were so frightened of the Climate Conference last year. Climate Conference didn't do that because it didn't want to alienate people at the time, but so that's the last resort, right? So that's kind of the underlying threat of a pledge to direct action around the mixed mode decision. But before that was happening, you would have all kinds of intermediate actions which made the coalition real and made the commitment to the direct action real.
Okay, just a couple of things to add, really. We also like talking to local MPs, particularly the ones that haven't really probably given full support yet, and that we should really focus in on particular boroughs where that's going to be effective. We thought that perhaps at press conferences we also have some fringe meetings as well as protests outside, that we try to be in there as well. And we thought of some ideas, again on kind of the spectacular flash mob front, some noise protests, perhaps a protest where dinosaurs come along to the DMT because they are a dinosaur department.
People have been asking, let me just sum up, people have been asking how this decision will be made. Let's be very clear. The decision itself will be made by Gordon Brown with a small number of advisors around him. It will then be, and he'll be making the crew. Gordon Brown is psychologically and politically, whatever you want to describe it, in favour of this proposal. Let's just understand that. He's a neoliberal, he believes in the market, he believes in the economic arguments, and he doesn't understand the environmental arguments. It's as simple as that. So he will get around him his group of advisors who are already committed to this project, and he'll say, where are we at on this? And the advisors will be saying, well, on the economy, this is the current situation. Can we afford it? Because Ferrovial will come to us for some form of public subsidy. And already on that basis, there are doubts and concerns. But he'll still have the aviation lobby lobbying him for their maximisation of their profits. He'll then turn to his advisors in terms of public relations, and he'll say, what's the position here? And what we've got to do by November, we're virtually there, his PR advisor's got to turn to him and say this is a PR disaster waiting to happen. And we're almost there on that. So everything we've talked about today has got to add to that. He'll then turn to his pollster. So she'll come in, she'll have done the polling and all the rest of it, and he'll ask, where are we in the polling? And what we've got to demonstrate, and I think we're nearly there again, is that this is an electoral disaster. He'll then turn to the chief executive and say, can we get this through Parliament? Even though there won't be a vote in Parliament, will there be rough stuff on the floor, both within the Parliamentary Labour Party and elsewhere? And that's where the lobbying of MPs comes in, because we've got to get whom to report back to him that we're not going to be able to carry this one, because there's been such a lobby of a whole range of MPs who are expressing anxieties. And then when he takes it to Cabinet, and this is what's important about lobbying other departments, we've got to get a split in Cabinet. We've got to get the Health Secretary of State saying we've got an issue here. The Education Secretary of State saying we've got a problem here. And others then saying, I'm not sure whether this is the advisable thing to do. Now, that's what we're aiming to peak on in November. And that's the formal process of lobbying that we're doing. Now that works on the basis that you think Gordon Brown and the government are in charge. Right? What we've got to say, and by the way, I'll break it to the Queen that she's not opening Parliament this year, I'll drop her a line. What we've got to say from this conference and every activity now is you may think you're making the formal decision, but whatever decision you take, let us tell you it's not going ahead. It's not going ahead. That's why the pledge is so important. Because what we used to, can you remember on other demonstrations, we used to shout when they come, the whole world is watching. Well, what we've got to say now is we want the whole world, not just to watch now, but to every person of concern, every person of goodwill, anyone who's concerned about human rights, the environment and all the rest, to sign the pledge now. And it shouldn't just be left to my constituents in Simpson to say we're not moving, because that's the way of isolating them. That's what they want you to do. What we've got to say is across the world we invite people now to sign the pledge that we will occupy Simpson if they come for it. Yeah, now, we have a tradition in this area of occupying places. Our Hayes Scottish Hospital, they tried to close down. We slept in it for 6 weeks. They did continuous across so it's now residential and marine unit. Barrow Hall, our local town hall, they tried to close the town and sell it off. We occupied it. It's now a children's. So there's a tradition of occupation. And I think if between now and the decision that's made in November, we have thousands of people, not just in Sipson, not just in Hillingdon, not just in West London, not just in Britain, but across the world, saying we are not going to let this town, this village die, and if necessary, we will come to occupy to protect this village because it protects our planet, doesn't it? Just finally to say, I think we're there. I just think we're on the edge of such a significant victory. And we kept saying that Battle of Heathrow is the iconic battleground for the battle against climate change. And I think it is. If we can win this one, it is a message of hope that will go out right way across this country against those campaigning against aviation expansion, those campaigning against development of roads, those campaigning against power stations and other developments that will affect our planet. And it will go not just across Britain but across Europe and the world. That somewhere, in one place on this planet, people have the courage to stand up and fight and win. And that's what we're about, isn't it? Solidarity.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's about it. Thank you all for coming. On your way out, Paddy and Bert will be there to take your forms as they're desperate to get people's phone numbers. But if you give them the forms, we've then got the email addresses and other addresses so we can keep in contact, not only with you, but with each other. Just add them on. If there's no
is the church that they want to bring down.
That's the pub, and that's the, yes, it's a few years since I was
here. Yeah, that's the
but
church that they wanted to bring down and dig up the dead. Well, they're not going to get away with it. They haven't got away with it. And the tide barn is just behind there.
Okay, that's 17th century or so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But most of us will stay.
Oh, most of it?
Yeah.
So
that will be like
isolated.
An hamburger, you know, in the middle.
Alright.
So this is the film I'm talking to you about.
Okay. Well, shall I get out and have a look around?
Yeah, you can do if you want.
I'll show them on the video what...
See, this park really belongs to the people around here, but this stretches right back. But British Airways keep it maintained, if you like.
What's that there? Is that scrapyard?
Oh, that's a scrapyard. That's a friend of mine.
Ah, does he have any spare space? Like I see there, a bit of a site next to it.
I tell you what, if we... This is the allotment that I was talking about. It's not very good to squat, really.
No, I understand.
If you get out of the car in a minute, I'll take you to another. Trespassers may be prosecuted, and to so enter is at one's own risk. But say they've mounted a great big earth here. Great big thing at the back.
So how does one...
I don't know how you get in there. Look at the blackness. And if you walk around here...
10 miles an hour? What does it mean, 10 miles an hour?
Oh, this is going on
up there, okay.
This one here, I don't know who it belongs to now. It's been like this for years.
Okay.
And of course, if you go along here, this is British Airways Prospect Park. All the way around the back here.
The park belongs to British Airways?
Well, this land was common land.
Right.
And they took away from the common land to keep it nicely, if you like, to keep it packed and God knows what. But this park stretches miles around, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd have to be digging all that.
Yeah, they're on the main gates.
Yeah, okay. Well, you see, these fences, I mind you can't drive in through there. This one here, private keep out on the right-hand side.
Yeah, that's a private residence that lives there.
That's the home, okay.
Yeah.
So this here is the...
They put all the way across, stopping anyone getting in.
This is the main entrance to this site.
Yeah.
With, let me get the dirt. They've put that to stop travellers, haven't they?
Maybe an option, I don't know, you've only got bits of wood and that. Flimsy fence. They'd probably be easier.
It looks like it might be fairly small. Does it go back any distance? No, it doesn't.
That's the size of it.
See, this would be a decision that my friends would have to make themselves.
Yeah.
Next to the scrapyard, this site, is that the gate to it?
No.
No.
This is a residential property bought by British Airways as well.
Oh, is that empty?
Yeah, it's empty, the property.
Okay, this site is... Shall we have a look at it? This is a house that belongs to British Airways?
Well, it used to belong to my friend, but he long gone. And then British Airways bought the grounds and they blocked it all up. But
yeah, well,
this can be...
You can see how easy that would come off.
Yeah.
And there's the pussycat.
That was his house.
Blimey, it's got ivy all over it.
Yeah, it's all overgrown. This is what they're doing to it. They put notices on the door that it's dangerous.
Did they check at all?
Oh, they check it, yeah.
How often do you say?
Oh, very often, yeah.
Alright.
After I purchased. There's the tithe barn there.
Oh, that's the tithe barn.
There's the church.
Okay.
And this is the field. Do you want any bigger than that? I must go another field. See, if you'd stayed here, this would give BAA more problems.
Yeah.
You know, to evict you, to get rid of you. I'd love as many problems as they come towards these big corporations, you know, to local residents there. Whoever owns it's going to be a problem, isn't it?
Yes.
But what they want this land derelict for?
Well, because they want to build a runway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So down there is the Harmondsworth Detention Centre.
That's it, yeah.
With a park at the end.
That's Harmondsworth bed and breakfast place.
This is the route, you're saying, for the...
oh yeah, all these houses are going to go.
And this is the route of the march?
Yeah, this was the route of the march.
From the climate camp?
Yeah, yeah.
So is the climate camp up here somewhere?
It's further on, yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm taking you back. They're so very, very fed up. So they're going to lose their homes, but, you know.
And yet they didn't come to the...
Oh no.
Why?
There's another field there open.
Yeah, I see that. What's in that? Is that
belongs to that farmer over there.
Do you think he would be happy to let us move in? The gates to a farm, is it?
Yeah, to that for the same farmer.
Right. And you don't think that he would be interested?
No. Oh no.
What about this field? Is this a separate field?
That's a separate one.
And that barn, is that an old barn?
Yeah, yeah.
So that, I wonder, would he rent it, do you think?
That doesn't belong to him.
Who owns the barn?
I don't know. Who owns this? They're digging up, they've raised the soil, stopping people like you moving in, that's what it is.
Yeah, well, we're all a problem, I suppose. I mean, we're just as much a problem as they are, but it's them that they're expecting. They don't really expect us.
I mean, that pub's going to go, all this is going. this is going over there. All this down here is going. There's another field there. I don't know who that belongs to. That's been like that for years.
Empty.
Empty. Yeah.
What? Nothing happening. What is it? It's just
nothing happens. No.
A field of what? Corn or something?
No, there's no corn. There's no plantation. That's what I'm saying.
This site has been empty for 25 years.
Oh yeah, or more. Yeah.
And has it got an entrance?
Yes. This has been as long here as long as I lived here. 25, 30 years, nothing ever done.
And is there an entrance somewhere?
Well, down the bottom.
Down the bottom. And it's what? We drive in. So that's the entrance there.
Look at the fence. That wouldn't take a lot to open up, would it? And this lady here, she's very strong against airport expansion, and you could introduce yourself and say.
She might know who she got sign on that one.
Oh yeah, not her runner.
I'll get a picture of that.
You said the other side, but that's easy peasy to get in, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Bringing the vehicles in would have to be coming straight in through there, not a problem. All right, this is the big one on the left-hand side that I filmed just before.
Yeah.
Okay.
To see the villages.
I don't think they're even in there. And that's the airport right over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, it looks different now, doesn't it?